So every single month, we bring in a guest of the month to inspire you all. And I'm very excited to announce today's guest of the month, someone who I've respected so much, who inspired not just a lot of people, but myself as well. Someone who raised $6 million within 12 months, someone who actually won the 1 billion pitches in 2025, and someone who actually grew the creator payout by 378%. Someone that really made an impact for the creator economy. So please welcome with me, Rami Saad.
Every single founder here has a question. Every single founder here has a challenge. And I'm sure you guys have your own as well. It doesn't mean that you raise a lot of money.
We figured out all the questions. We're good now.
Okay, that's great. That's great you're here. So, Rami, first of all, who is Rami today and what is Halo AI?
First, I want to start by saying thank you all for having me here today. It is such a pleasure to be here among builders. For the last 20 years of my career, I've been building without really realizing that I'm a builder. I'm what you call kind of like a coincidental entrepreneur. I never woke up in the morning thinking, I need to be building things. I need to quit this corporate thing and jump over and build a business. And I was in my last role at Snap for about 7 years. I'll explain a little bit about the background, but I pretty much found myself looking for a break. I took a break that ended up becoming a 5-minute break because I immediately started helping my friends build things. And one of those friends was pretty much my co-founder Vito, who I'm building Halo AI with. And that's pretty much how the journey began. A little bit about me. I'm Palestinian. My four grandparents are Palestinian. My parents are born in Lebanon, so culturally you could say I'm a little bit also Lebanese. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Yes. Is this okay? All right.
Sorry.
And so I was born in Dubai. I was born to this privileged city that is beautiful and diverse and open and connected, and it gives all of us such an incredible opportunity. And so I grew up here. My career started on the media agency side. I studied computer science, pretty quickly realized I love stories. I love media. I love talking to people. And so I jumped over from software to publicist media. My first 10 years of my career, I was helping brands figure out ways to find their audiences and build their business by building brands. And helping them figure out what digital channels are the right ones for them. So building social media, performance teams, data analytics. Jumped over to the publisher side, and I very quickly realized that all of the things that I've been asking publishers to build for me are actually very, very difficult to build. Apparently, it's very hard to build a content and a media business. And then I joined Snapchat in 2017. It was pre-IPO. And my role at Snap was to help build the content ecosystem for Snap across markets in the EMEA and the APAC region. Spent about 7 years doing that, and I learned so much about just how hard it is for brands and for content creators to collaborate together. I think we all can recognize that there's been a tremendous shift that's happening over the past 10 years, I want to say, but really, really rapidly growing over the last few, where brands want to tell their stories, but with the voice of authentic storytellers that are in the business of telling stories. And in looking at that opportunity, I looked at this with my co-founders and realized there's such a big potential for us to eliminate this friction. There's this massive wave of AI that I think all of us are sensing, and I'm pretty sure you all have that as part of your development roadmaps. But for me, it was such a clear opportunity that there's a chaotic market that's trying to find each other. They're trying to handshake, and it's very clear brands and creators both realize the value. There's so much friction, and then this massive wave of AI that's coming through that genuinely has the potential to resolve a lot of the friction points. So that was the inspiration for us to get started. And then we dove in, and it's been about 1.5 years, I want to say now, and it's been lots of fun. So excited to tell you all about it.
That was beautiful. By the way, guys, I'm going to ask Rami 4 questions, all right, and then prepare your questions. And by the way, this was not part of the 4, yeah? So I have full 4 questions. So, Rami, I mean, I've been following your story for a very while, since you guys started, right? And in 2025, you've won, the 1 billion pitch by the 1 billion pitch summit. And after that, you've raised $6 million within below 12 months. For you, when you were, and you actually raised it from the top VCs here in the region, when you were looking for these investors, because I bet you every single one of these founders here are actually looking to raise, if they haven't raised already. In Rami's point of view, how were you selecting an investor that could potentially be a partner more than just someone that's giving you a check? What went into Rami's head back then?
I love that question, and probably going to say things that I've never said before about our funding round, now that it feels like this is the right room and this is the right way to explain what we did.
By the way, that's going on YouTube, just a fire.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it. Scratch that, forget it. Cool. So we raised our seed round in 11 days. It was not expected. It was not exactly what we planned, but we did one thing that really changed everything for Halo, and that's that we raised money when we didn't need money. It's a pretty obvious lesson. It's really not rocket science. But if I take you back to our journey, I was helping a bunch of my friends that are building things or people that are in big tech or people that are in corporates solve specific problems. I started helping these guys and I thought, they're my friends from Snap, Meta, and Amazon. And I thought, there's got to be something that I could help contribute to these guys. I know the space so well, and they picked the problem space of creator economy, which is pretty much a space I've been so deeply involved in. And so I started helping them out, and then I realized I'm spending 16 hours with these people, and I like them and everything, but something's got to give. I have a wife, kids. And so I had the conversation about joining them as co-founders, and I remember the look on Vito's face. He was laughing. He's like, we've been waiting for you. We just wanted you to take the first step, which genuinely I respect. It's really important to have ownership for founders or founding members of your team, especially within such an early stage of a startup. Next step for us was building. So we decided to self-fund the business and bootstrap and really focus on customer development. Let's understand the problem space so well that we then come up with ideas that we genuinely believe can make an impact here. So we interviewed about 200 brands and creators. Obviously, we came with a lot of domain expertise within the field itself. My co-founder built the APIs of Meta and then went to Snap and built the APIs of Snap. Our third co-founder was at Amazon building EC2, so managed cloud teams and was a director of engineering there. So across the three of us, we began looking for the problem and trying to think what is the right solution for the problems that exist. We came up with 12 ideas, and out of all of those ideas, Halo was the one idea that met 3 criteria for us. First, the idea was feasible. We knew we could build an MVP that would be embarrassing, but would at least begin to solve the problem for us. Second, it was something that we thought that if we built, we could genuinely have a real shot, a real high chance of actually solving the problem, given where where technology is today, given the evolution of technology at that point in time when we were thinking. And third, and that's probably the most important one, we had to find an idea that was investable. Investable means it's appealing to angels and to VCs to make them actually really excited about joining your journey, because there were actually more interesting ideas, and I could tell you about one of them maybe after this so that we're not taking too much time out of the questions.
Can you tell me this on the side, just for me?
I'll tell you. I'll give you the tip. I'll give you the tip. And so that idea was actually super interesting, and it was feasible and it was impactful, but it wasn't investable. It wasn't something that we thought would be exciting for investors.
You can give it to them.
And so Halo, it's a data layer that allows creators to share their data with whoever they want, with control. That's the idea. And so we thought that's really great. We should build this thing. And then we thought, no, let's start where we know that money is comfortable. And then from there, let's go and actually start to evolve the value prop further. And so we began on that journey, and we started building the MVP. We took it to market. We failed like crazy. We were eating glass, as PG would say. And we were really going through the difficulty of the first few iterations of brands hating it. I'll sum it up in one sentence. We basically built the Uber of the creator economy. It's fully autonomous. So if I could write a brand name and the handle of a brand name, it would do everything. I can explain to you how later. And we found out that humans wanted to actually be in the loop instead. So back to funding, we were self-funding, so we kept on building. We began pitching to angels. So we started with angels. Obviously, we had some network, so within big tech and through our collective experiences, we were able to gather somewhere around $1.2 million in angel investment. And then the next step right after that was we now built the runway. We built enough runway for us not to need money soon. And that was the first catch that we did. And then the second was to start to get advice and understand what the investment landscape really looks like against the market that we were in. And that made us quite appealing, interestingly, because that's when we started sort of the win streak began. Brands started to talk about us. We started to become talk of town. We did such an amazing job in telling our own story on social. The team did an incredible job getting the word out there. And through all of that, we became appealing enough for VCs in the region to start to circle around us. And so we began meeting them. We began getting advice and understanding what the landscape looks like, the who's who of the investment landscape. And within 11 days from the first day that we decided as a team that maybe we should be open to raising today if these are the right conditions. And we arrived at two incredible investors that we're really proud to have on our cap table. In terms of the next question of like, how do we pick them? Exactly the same way we picked our co-founders. Exactly the same criteria that I think of our co-founders. I'm thinking of someone who can really deliver something that we don't already have on the table, strategic value, right? We really need someone who has the ability to help us think about the problem in a unique way, or brings in some advantage, whether it's regulatory or their ability to open doors or their understanding of different markets. That was one. The second is someone who would challenge me in the room, someone who wouldn't just be cheering on me on the sidelines, but is really unsure where I'm headed or what I'm up to, or just over-impressed by everything we're doing. We need people who would challenge us in a room. And then the third dimension is someone who's got the right values, someone whose values really match well with what it is that we bring to the table. And that's really important, not for when the times are good, probably, but when the times are tough. That's probably the most important thing that's gonna come up first.
That's beautifully said. And you've mentioned about angel investment. Was that when you were in stealth mode already? And I remember very well that you stayed in stealth mode for a while. And a lot of founders build publicly too, right? Because it has pros and cons. What was the biggest advantage for you to stay in stealth mode instead of building in public and just gathering this database and then once you launch? So what was the reason why you stayed in stealth mode for that long?
That's a really good point. There are a couple of reasons. The first one is confusion about who you are and what you do. In the beginning, when you're just starting with an idea, our risk was that Halo back then has, I wouldn't say almost nothing to do, but is so different than what Halo AI is today. And to be able to go change that perception costs money. Like it just costs energy to the business. And so holding back and waiting until we genuinely felt like it's now time to take this value proposition to market was really important for us. Second is hype. I'll be honest, the hype that we got out of coming out of stealth was massive. There was so much interest. There was so much interest coming our way through the verticals or the categories that we were in. We're in creator economy. It's doubling every 2 years. AI native business, of course, that's got so much hype, probably too much hype around it. And then third is the market and the industry here, and just holding back against the market being our brands or the creators that we'd be interested in onboarding. There was a lot of excitement, a lot of interest built up through that. And then fourth, access, right? Like when you are in stealth mode and you're letting in an angel and saying, hey, let's take you through what we're building, it creates a bit of privilege and it gives them a story because they now have access. When you think deal flow, it's so important for investors to feel like they have that unique access versus you just being all out there. And at least that was our story. I'm pretty sure it's not the only way to do things, and you're absolutely right when you say there's definitely an advantage to build in public. We're building in public today, and we're sharing more and more. We're still not where we would like to be, but there's a lot more sharing and a lot more openness that we'd like to bring in, and transparency. When I was on the 1 Billion Summit stage just a month ago, we were thinking hard with the team, right? Like, what is it that we want to say? A year earlier, we won this competition and announced the 6 million seed round. What do we want to say this year? And we decided to go with the 3 biggest failures that we came across and what we learned from each of these failures, which I'm happy to talk to the room about after this.
Interesting. So you've started a year and a half ago, right? Or were you out of the stealth mode a year and a half ago?
We came out of stealth, I want to say, end of last year.
End of last year.
So we spent about, I would say, just under a year in stealth.
And you're already in New York, Riyadh, right? Any other cities?
We're in Saudi Arabia, we're in the UAE, and we have a pilot in New York that we're just ramping up at the moment.
How do you know that it's time to expand?
That's a tough, multi-dimensional one.
Thank you.
I love it.
I was thinking a lot about this question.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's really easy. It's just one metric. No, it's really not. Okay, so I'll tell you our story, and then I'll mention a few dimensions that I think are really important. Our story is that we as a startup are building a value proposition that we believe to be universal. If our value prop is universal, we need to make sure that across different markets and across different categories of brands and creators, this need that we are solving for is indeed universal. If we today take Halo to the US in 2 years, or to Europe or to any other market, and realize then that the value proposition that we built or the features, the functionality that we built is absolutely not what the market wants, then we are far too late in the game. So one question is, where is your competition coming from? Today, and with a lot of humility I say this, our competition is not coming from here. It's coming from startups that are building in the US primarily today. They're the AI native startups that are attacking the problem in different ways, but really coming at it with the same sort of mindset of there's got to be a better way. Forget the current playbook. We need to reimagine how these two sides meet and how this marketplace should look like. And so when I think of that, there's how much time to market you have, right, between those competitors and you. And if they're learning in such a developed market, it's about 60-65% of the total market globally, then you're late to the game because there's that race, right? Like if you're too late to that, there's a disadvantage for you.
So that's why New York, right?
Well, New York specifically, US in general, but New York specifically because all the ad dollars originate in New York. The planning happens in New York. But of course, the idea is to serve larger or wide geographies. So for us, that's the reason why US. Why not Europe? Europe on the regulatory front is very difficult, especially when it comes to creators, to disclosures. It's much harder. It's a much harder market to tap into. And then third, when you think about APAC, it brings more complexity. Complexity is super interesting, but the value proposition there, we absolutely know is going to be much more different than the value proposition or the similarities between US and between what we're building in MENA. So that's what we're doing. That's sort of like the answer for Halo, for why it matters to us to be there now. All of that being said, I think you really have to take into account how scalable your business model is. We are not a self-service SaaS platform yet. We are not a full-service agency, and we never want to be a full-service agency. We have 6 AI agents that are taking care of different steps of this entire collaboration process, and in every step, we have a certain level of maturity of that agent. And so our discovery agent is getting really good, and we're spending less and less human time on discovery. Our outreach agent, anybody in the AI SDR space will tell you, they're pretty advanced by now. It's really able to do a lot of the work. Our payouts agent went from like 100% human. It's by now only escalations to human. It just handles all payments for creators. And so depending on which component, you have different maturity levels. And I say all that because when you think about what it means to build a scalable self-service product, there is a separate path where you say, well, I don't care where I'm going to grow. I'm going to build a product that is so efficient and effective for any brand and creator looking to collaborate with each other that I could have people in Sweden using it at the same time as people in Germany. Of course, you have your priorities and everything, but it sort of unlocks, and then you can chase demand, or you could listen into the demand and then based on that sort of respond. But to Halo, the answer was pretty clear. We can't afford to wait. We need to be in the US market right now. And that's why we launched the pilot, and we learned a lot. We've got about 500 creators there, 50 brands that are already interacting and sort of delivering some collabs, and there's already some really interesting, unique learnings about that market that we're having to bake into the product.
Interesting. Beautiful, beautiful. Guys, I'm done with my 4 questions, by the way, just so that you know, but that was beautiful, Rami. Guys, Q&As, it's your chance right now. All right, take it easy. Let's go.
Don't take it easy.
All right, so thanks for the talk, first of all. You mentioned that you were kind of scanning the landscape of the VCs. I know it's very hard to put in like 2 sentences, but that's what we do here, right? Could you put your learnings while you were in the stealth mode? What was the kind of main things you learned from the VCs, or the angels, sorry?
Love the question. So first, I would say very different learnings in the angel space versus the VC space. The angel space, I would say, first learning is your network is really important, but what's more important is what people are saying about you behind your back. And so oftentimes we thought that we're just going to ring up the people we know and that's going to be great. But what really went the extra mile was what they've heard about us through the rest of our network or through people that heard about the product or have experienced Halo, let's say, a little bit further down the line when the MVP was already in the market. And at that stage, as you know, like no one's betting on your product, no one's betting, like even your problem space could change. Really what they're betting on is, are you people that I can trust that could take this investment that I'm making and could potentially help take that into, or you know, potentially grow that investment and increase the value of this business that they're building. So the focus on you as founders is super important. I would say that was one. A second very important learning was, and I'll never forget this, I probably can't name this VC, but it was kind of an awkward moment. We were sitting in this room, me and my co-founder, and then this person who were really just there to ask for advice. And we came through a friend, so like there's a good relationship, so it's not we're not pitching anything here. We had no deck, no slides, nothing. We're just hanging out. And I remember this person, you know, who's this exec who's sitting across the table, was like, "Tell me a little bit. Where are you from?" And he was talking to me. I started telling my story, and then he kept going personal, like one more question, and one more question, and one more question. And what about your family? And where do your siblings live? And I'm thinking, where is this going, actually? Like, but I'm just entertaining it, right? Like, there's no tension, right? There's no, you know, ask and get. And then my co-founder looks at me. And then he says, "Oh, I didn't know that." And then immediately that stops everything. And the exec turns to the middle and he goes, "How well do you guys know each other?" Like, shit, okay, I really did not think to go there. You know, you prepare for all these meetings and you're ready with like, got the answers. And then I realized, actually, there's things we don't know about each other. And there's this sort of like, we're like work buddies. I mean, every co-founder story is different, but our story is that we used to work together and we used to like have killer energy in meetings. We read each other's minds and, you know, we had this sort of chemistry at work. But then I realized that I actually personally don't know my co-founder well enough. And that was an incredible learning for us. We walked right out of that room. We looked at each other like, we should hang out. Yeah, like we should have some coffee sometime, you know, and talk shop. So that was another. I think when I look at the VC landscape in the region, my learning is that it's very hard to make money. So when you think about exits that are happening within the region and look at the way that those funds are performing, it's tough. And it's tough, and it's on this room to change that, right? Like we're responsible to change that picture and to, you know, turn that narrative around, because there is so many bright minds in this part of the world, and there's so much potential and opportunity coming out of this part of the world. And that's the reason I'm personally here. You know, thank you, Rooney, for inviting me, but it's so important for me to play this role in community and to lift each other up, right? Like we've all been through experience, and I think that's really, really important that we remember that responsibility and honestly, literally make way in our calendars to come in and, you know, be involved and be open to learning. So that would be another learning for me. I can't think of anything else that immediately jumps to my mind. Well, I could tell you like the question I ask myself of what are VCs looking for? They're looking for sharp founders that are willing to be wrong. I think this commitment to be right is absolutely a red flag. And I've seen it before in some of the pitches that I've attended where it becomes combative about the question as opposed to like sitting next to each other, holding the problem and trying to actually turn it around and say, well, I've never thought about it that way. That's actually quite interesting. Let me study that a little bit. I think that signal is quite important for VCs. And then the last thing is being really aligned about what is your North Star. I'll tell you what our North Star is. It's completed collaborations. Revenue is not my North Star. We're not looking to deliver revenue right now at this stage. The idea is we are a two-sided open marketplace. We want to prove that we can be the de facto currency and the infrastructure that powers these collaborations. So if I can prove that thousands of times these two sides are trying to meet each other, I can find 100 ways to make money out of it in the future.
Next question. By the way, I bet you every single co-founder is going to go like, what's your sister's name? What's your father's name? What's your...
Thank you for this amazing panel. Now, you mentioned that you guys were building in stealth. I'm curious that during the stealth build, did you guys ever pivot to what Halo is today? And if you pivoted, what made you come to that decision? What kind of metrics were you seeking out, like through testing and iteration? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. So our utilization sucked. And we were sitting in a room thinking, wait, we can pitch to an advertiser. They are very easy to convert. Amazing. They listen to us and go, wow, this is autonomous marketing. I could push a button and really no jokes. It's a single button. You push it once and your campaign starts. And now 100 people are going to buy your product and talk about it and publish content on TikTok, on Instagram, and on Snapchat, fully measured end to end without you lifting a finger. Sounds amazing, right? It absolutely failed. It failed because brands jumped in expecting that they're going to be happy with the final outcomes, but who's making these decisions? AI is making the decisions. How is it making them? Based on data signals. How do humans make decisions about which content creators to work with? Not exactly based on just numbers. There's a subjective component that's always part of this. And I remember the meeting, I was sitting in front of a brand and the brand goes, well, this is great, we love the numbers, but you see, out of those 150 creators that we worked with, so many of them are kind of not our brand personality. And when a brand does this with their hands, I don't know how to translate that to even if they could, absolutely. In fact, let me give you a little tidbit. Even after we pivoted right now, our performance per capita is worse, but our clients are way happier, right? Can you believe that? Like in numbers, like if you really just look at it at the unit economics level, you'll see that at the single collab level, we're delivering less results for this brand, but the brand is happier because they're getting all the recommendations by AI. AI is acting as a co-pilot, and so the agent's recommending all the creators to it, but they're still making the final call. And when the brand's making the final call, they can sort of blend in their subjective view. So now our mindset has shifted. I wouldn't particularly call this a dramatic, like a big pivot. It's still the same problem space. It's still pretty much the same solution. We just went from fully autonomous to human in the loop, and we gave the keys to the brand and to the creator to set the brand. The creators used to not set their price. They would get an offer, and it's like, hey, Rami, it's $1,000 for this collaboration. Is you in or out? And in some ways, it was no bottleneck. It did streamline things, and we delivered 250 creators in 48 hours for a brand because they wanted to go very, very fast. So it can do a lot, right? But it's not the right model. And our vision was, yes, it's not right to be autonomous now. And so we've shifted entirely to the opposite direction. And now what we're doing is we've gone human in the loop, and now we're building ways to help brands to bring them back into autonomous, but based on their own decisions, scaled by AI.
Great. We're only going to take 47 more questions. That's it. All right. Just kidding. Just 3 more questions. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Can you tell me how you fixed the valuation at earlier stage when the idea was there, before going into the angel investors, what was the progress you have taken to lose the dilution methodology?
Oh, thank you. That's great. I was just given water. Very kind. Thank you. Good question. Let me think. I think there are a couple of signals you want to take into account to be able to answer this question. First is, what does the competitive landscape say? What are the last, all the data is available. You could see how, what are the last valuations that have happened across this specific series that you're in for the industry that you're in. And that's one data point that tells you where the market is. Second is, one of the challenges in valuing your business is overvaluing your business at an earlier stage and then realizing that you have to sprint so hard to be able to meet that valuation. Otherwise, you would have to down value in one of the future stages. So I think understanding what the real size of prize, and of course, at that stage, you're looking at a really wide margin of error, but it gives you an idea based on what revenue you think you could be, accomplishing within years 1 to 3. I would say I wouldn't go further than that personally. At least it gives you a signal for you to see, based on multipliers, exactly where do I see myself. And a few other methods similar to that, I think, is how you could arrive at right. So I think the right valuation for this stage, assuming that I'm going to 3x my valuation from this stage to that, assuming there's no bridge or there is a bridge round. You got to look at a couple of scenarios, and then based on all of that, you arrive at sort of like the delta for where you want to be, the range. And I think lastly, conversations, right? You're going to take that expectation to the market, and then whether you're raising on pre or post money on safes or not, you'll arrive at the final sort of, I would say you'll arrive based on that last negotiation at the right valuation for yourself. Happy to talk to you more about it after this as well, in case you need more advice.
Hello, Rami. My name is Leo. Lovely talk, by the way. My question for you is, we've seen so many companies doing this exact same thing that you guys are doing, but there's something that you guys did differently for you to just grow this much? What was that one specific thing that you can say that actually made the difference and carve out a path for you guys?
You couldn't be more right. There are billions of dollars that have been spent to try and solve the problem of a marketplace that sits in between brands and content creators. We have a hypothesis about why that hasn't worked so far, and I'll sum up the hypothesis in maybe like a couple of words. The challenge today for brands and creators to meet up is people think of it like a closed marketplace problem, and our belief is that instead of it being a closed marketplace problem, brands need to onboard, and we use our discovery agent to find anybody in the universe. We are not looking at creators on Halo. We're looking out of, let's say in UAE and Saudi, there's 220,000 nano micro content creators that are rising across TikTok, Snapchat, and Instagram. We find you the best creator for you among them, and then we use the outreach agent, the AI SDR effectively, to go out there and begin onboarding the right creators for you for your specific campaign. So that's one component that brands typically suffer from. When you look at the current models, there's a lot of fatigue. Creators are fickle, right? Getting them on board is hard. People try to onboard them and get them to sign up to their platform on the hope that they're going to Airbnb this thing, or it's a marketplace problem, right? Like you have supply and demand, and you have one of them is going to be a hard side.
Chicken and egg problem.
Exactly, and so one of those sides is going to be a hard side for you. And for us, the learning was pretty quickly obvious that it's a balanced marketplace problem. We need to snowball both sides at a similar pace in terms of supply and demand for us to arrive at this golden ratio of like how many creators, who are the right creators that we need to serve the needs of these kinds of brands. There's also a lot of imbalance in power between supply and demand in our industry. Brands have a lot of power. Creators that are nano micro, I'm not talking about the big creators, they have a different kind of power, but nano micro creators, wealth distribution sucks for them. The top 1% of creators are making more than 60% of the revenue. And then when you look at the way this marketplace operates and why others haven't been able, in our view, to really bring it into a success, the creator side gives up too quickly because they come in, they apply to 10 campaigns and they can't find success, so they leave. But if you're bringing in creators for a specific campaign because you picked them to come in and meet a specific advertiser, and then within that, you're governing the rights of both sides. So we give the creators so much competitive intelligence so they can set the right price for themselves. We don't work for the brand, we're creator first. And so when you're looking at the marketplace with that angle, we go back to the brand and we give the brand the best competitive intelligence they could see so they can make the best decisions about which creators to work with. And I think that balance in having, even our teams are separate, by the way, our demand team is separate from our supply team. And I think that balance in a team that's really focused on the health of the demand side and the health of supply side separate from each other is really an essential component. Of course, there's probably reasons I don't even know yet or haven't figured out yet. But what I can tell you is we're finding so much success on both sides of the platform in meeting each other in the way that we're describing. And it's still an iteration, right? Like I was joking about, we figured everything out. There's so many open questions. There's an insane cognitive load that we're dealing with around what do creators want and what other services can we offer them. And brands are really happy with the current model, but clearly there's a way that we can work with 1,000 creators. Why 100 in a month? I could get you 1,000 people to tell a story about your brand in 1 month. And so we're looking at ways that we can embed so much of that so that we're making the experience on both the demand and supply side easier and easier. But ultimately, look, it's a classical marketplace problem. The idea is, how do we make it work for both sides? And if both sides continue to see increased value, the stickiness is going to be there and you'll hit your LTVs. And that's the focus that we have as Halo. It's the last question. Who's going to take it?
Hi, Rami. Oh, wow. I think, first of all, I don't know about anyone in the room, but I'll speak on behalf of myself. We kind of take these opportunities for granted. So I think it goes without saying as well, thank you for, gracing the stage and sharing your wisdom, because I know how rare these opportunities are, even in Dubai. And my question is maybe a little bit more personal, but not on the family side. A little bit more tracking back when you were building. And I'm not sure if this is something that you have figured out yourself, but again, I think it's a common, let's say, challenge that everyone faces as they're building a product or service, is we often spend so much time in figuring out, the what and the how. And we often forget about the why. So has this, let's say, attribute or component been a very important factor for you before you were building or in stealth mode, let's say? Or has it not been that, let's say, within your discovery journey? Or is this still, within your discovery journey of figuring out the why?
What a last question. Ooh, okay. I'm building because I want to lift other people. And it's funny you started with the thank you and with lifting and with being here for other people, but I'm building because I believe that I have the ability to lift other people around me. And that is my personal motive. That is something that I'm not satisfied if I don't accomplish in my life. So that's my personal drive, absolutely has been, and a big purpose for me and a big, I would say a big reason why I'm committed even in the hardest moments. That's what I always think of. I go back to this and I think, yeah, of course, I could do this because I'm not building this so that I can personally benefit from it. I'm building it so that I can lift something. And that to me is big on community. It's big on stepping into places that are uncomfortable, leaning in and being open to learn. I'm probably benefiting more than all of you by being here today. So to me, this isn't I'm giving, it's a receive to be able to give. And I think that's what fuels me, and that absolutely has been the case for me personally. When I think about the why for our product and for our stakeholders on both sides, I could tell you in a second, our creators need to be able to make money, save money, grow, and do good. Those are the four reasons that the four purposes that I have for my creators. And so it's not something I just thought of, it's something that we always think about really, really hard. And we consider to ourselves, when do we want to meet each of these needs? Because if I don't understand the why, it's so hard to make tactical decisions every day without me in the room. I need to be able to empower my team so that everybody can see why we're doing what we're doing, so that for them, it's really easy to look at an opportunity and say, should we do this? What does it do? Oh, it helps, like I'll give you an example. If I do paid collaborations with, let's say, Unilever, one of our advertisers, I could help you get 1,000 creators for Unilever, and the creator is benefiting by building their brand. They get associated with Dove, let's say, a big brand, and by generating revenue. So I'm building my livelihood. Those are the two reasons. I'm making money. When I think about save money, there are freemium collaborations that are barter bases that we experimented with in the past. I'm probably going to bring them back at some point. And those are much more about, wait, I want to get a haircut. What if I could just get a haircut and post a story? Or what if I could just grab a cup of coffee with a friend and post a story about it? And so finding that way to enable the creator to save money is another. Doing good is something we started right from the beginning of Halo. We did this collaboration with the Autism Center in year 1. And then in year 2, we came back to 1 billion followers summit stage. And we partnered with Karen Wazen and with the Autism Center. And we're actually just about to launch the campaign. It's a Ramadan campaign where we went with individuals with autism who were coloring with us in one of their art classes. And Karen took the art that they actually created and turned them into sunglass sleeves, that if you purchase one of these sunglasses during Ramadan, that the proceeds are going to be donated to the Dubai Autism Center. So doing good and allowing creators the opportunity to do good is so important to us. And so in a nutshell, I would say thinking about the why is absolutely important. You are bang on. And making sure that the team understands the why is also really important. Even if some of the why is not a priority today, at least we know that this is the creator's why. And we need to fulfill it at some point in some way. It just helps us all stay in sync without needing really to get into a lot of, a lot of like second or third order decisions.
Wow, beautiful. Rami, I can't thank you enough, man, really. I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being here. I think he deserves another one, guys. Come on, do it. Yes.
I'm blushing.